Hey guys, it's Little Man Jose and welcome to another review. Today I'm reviewing God of War Ragnarok. Finally! We are finally here. It's been months and months, but I can finally talk about Ragnarok after beating it twice and nearly completing every side quest in the game. So what is my opinion on this giant of a video game? Well, let's find out. The story in this game has to be one of the most conflicting stories that I have ever gone through. It has so many things I love and gush about, while also having shit I cannot stand. Let me start off with the good, because there is a lot of good in this one, especially compared to 2018, which had almost no good. First thing that comes to mind almost instantly is the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. What an amazing improvement. I am actually shocked at how beautiful this father-son relationship is in this game. Remember how I said I wanted Kratos and Atreus to act like in 2018? Well, guess what? This game basically does almost exactly what I wanted. There are so many moments in this game where you truly see how much Kratos loves his son more than his own life. And while he's still not the best at, well, expressing that love, it feels more heartfelt and desperate this time. We see just how much Kratos is afraid of something even touching a hair on Atreus' head, and he tries to help the kid by getting him away from trouble, not wanting to start a war so his son doesn't have to fight. His fear for his son's safety causes him to act super overprotective for the majority of the game, which backfires on him quickly when Atreus disobeys him and goes to fucking Asgard with Odin. Yeah, Atreus went for a good reason, but to Kratos, he felt like he pushed his son to the hands of his enemy, and it hurts. It seriously hurts my soul. That fucking scene where he sees his past mistakes through his arms, remembering what he did to his previous family, and then finding his son's pouch and he nearly tears up. Holy shit, that gets me every time. Kratos is so good in this game, guys, I swear. And then when Atreus eventually does come back, Kratos hugs his son like never before, and even apologizes for what he did. And after he apologizes, he gets hit by one of his own lessons that he taught Atreus.
Don't be sorry, Father. Be better.
God, if anything, this scene shows how far both of them have truly come. Kratos even smiles, bro. How can you not love this? And finally, we got Ragnarok and the end of the game. This section has so many beautiful scenes that I cannot stop admiring. Kratos telling Atreus that he was wrong about closing his heart to the pain of others and instead to feel their pain and help them. That's something that old Kratos wouldn't even think about. And then we got the ending, where Atreus decides that he wants to carve out his own path, and the first step to doing that is to find the giants by himself. After hearing this, you would think that he would instantly stop the boy and try to convince him to stay, but instead, with no hesitation, he says to his son,
It's hard to explain.
Does it frighten you?
Yeah.
That is why you must do it.
Like you taught me. Yeah.
We survive today because of your choices. Who to trust, who to call friend. Son, you are ready.
That is beautiful, dog. I don't care what anyone says. Oh no, and this scene right here. This scene almost fucking got me.
Loki will go. Atreus. Atreus remains.
Fantastic. There's even some subtle, not totally in your face signs that Kratos and Atreus were bonding. Like the fact that in this game, he always called Atreus by his actual name instead of saying the famous word.
Boy.
Except for that one time where Atreus was leaving Asgard and he says it again.
Boy!
That scene was so scary, guys. Their relationship is fantastic, and it's not just about Atreus. His relationship with every side character is also way better in this game. He respects Freya and sees her as equal. He always seeks Mimir's wisdom and sees him as a brother. He admires Brock's simple nature and considers him to be a great blacksmith, even to the point of wishing for his blessing on his new spear instead of some fucking powerful mermaid. That is awesome. And we can't forget the end, where Kratos sees that he becomes the new Odin, broke into tears, and immediately accepts his fate and vows to make the 9 realms great again. Kratos is fantastic in this game. I don't even know what to say. As for Atreus, he's a bit of a mixed bag. I like him way more in this game than the last, no doubt about it, but he is still a teenager. An early one at that. Atreus makes some really dumb decisions in this game, and most of them are because he is young and naive, which is understandable, but sometimes it just pisses me off a little too much. Like when he leaves everyone and goes to Asgard, that was retarded. Even before the Tyr plot twist, Odin has fucking ravens everywhere around the realms. Atreus thinking that Odin is oblivious to everything that they're doing and their plans, that's stupid. That's rock fucking stupid. It was that mistake that ended up killing Brock and having Sindri hate him for life. However, the reason why I don't really hate Atreus is because, in the end, the kid has good intentions that drive his actions. He wants to stop Odin. He wants to make sure that the prophecy of his dad dying and him joining Odin doesn't come true. He wants to be the champion of Ragnarok like the giants prophesied he would be. It's all because he wants better for the world. He tries to get on Odin's good side so his dad doesn't die. He wants to find Tyr because him being the god of war would probably help them out in Ragnarok. He tries to convince Freya to join their side even though he killed her son. The kid throughout the whole game holds out hope for everyone, even the villains. After being with the Aesir, he saw that some of them are actually really good people, or people so broken that they end up being bad, like Thor for example. Sure, Atreus is soft as shit and nothing like his dad, but that doesn't instantly make him a bad character. I actually think he's well written, because he acts like any dumb teenager. And he does learn his mistakes by the end, so it kind of clears up. It also looks like they're teasing a new game for him, which I'm betting nobody wants, but who knows, it might be great. Here's hoping. As for the side characters, they are still great as always. Even Mimir in this game is actually good because, believe it or not, he actually tells funny jokes. Like jokes that actually got a chuckle out of me. It was probably the most surprising thing in this entire game, to be honest. I also love how him and Kratos are just bros. Like bros before hoes kind of bros. Mimir always has this motherfucker's back in every situation. And just like Kratos, I eventually learned to appreciate Mimir. Brock and Sindri are also still really great in this game, but I gotta say, bro, Brock has like so little screen time in this game that it feels off. Throughout the whole game, he only had like, one scene truly dedicated to him before his death, which to me is a massive missed opportunity. They could have done so much with Brock before killing him off. Like, I'll even take some emotional bait-ass where they try to make you more attached to him before he dies. Like, I'm talking some Naruto side character death shit. But no, they just kill him off. On the positive side, it destroyed my soul because he was my favorite dwarf. The death was actually done really well. I enjoyed it. As for Sindri, he has so much screen time that I actually thought he was gonna turn on us or something. Like some sort of plot twist. But no, he just has an insane amount of screen time for a side character. Especially for one who only had a few scenes in the last game. And I actually enjoy it because Sindri is still really funny in this game. Actually, he might even be funnier. And also, Sindri goes through some shit in this game that eventually leads him to a bitter and hateful attitude toward every main character in the game. I really enjoyed the speech about how they used him for everything he had and now he had nothing, including the person he loved the most.
I gave you everything. My skills, my friendship, my home, my secrets, my treasures. And you just kept taking. And now what have I got? Not even my family.
I understood how Sindri felt. Kind of a shame that his story arc didn't really get, resolved, and I don't think it ever will. This will probably be him forever as far as we know, unless the Atreus game somehow decides to fix that relationship, but I don't really know. And now we got Freya, who I don't necessarily enjoy all that much in this game, actually. She's really hard to explain. In simple terms, I just kind of find her annoying. Everything from the way she looks to the way she speaks. She also had this really fucking corny line that she said to Odin at the end of the game, and I was cringing my asshole off hearing it. It wasn't so much the dialogue, more so the delivery of the line.
Bow to your queen.
Also, bro, her and Freyr, that shit is some fucking soap opera shit. Like, I can't believe there are some people who actually take this seriously. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Freya's not too bad or anything. She's bearable, but I definitely don't really care about her as much. And now we got the villains who are pretty decent in this game. Not a bad lineup by any means. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my favorite villain, Heimdall. This guy gives me so many vibes reminiscent of Hermes from God of War 3. He's a cocky asshole who insults and puts down anyone that isn't on his level. But Heimdall might actually be better in my opinion, mostly because we get to see more of him and it's all fantastic. But also it was because he actually felt like a threat that could whoop your ass if he tried. This motherfucker has foresight, so he can see your moves before you do them. It's like the dude has Sharingan or something. And because of all this, you want to beat that piece of shit to a pulp, which you eventually do, and it's one of the best moments in the game. I really like the fight. Heimdall is king. That's all I gotta say. Thor is probably the most disappointing villain in the franchise. This guy was built up to be a monster with no remorse. But instead, he's a fat, drunk loser with daddy issues. What a disappointment. Plus the fact that he's a terrible father and doesn't have the balls to stand up to his dad. As a matter of fact, Thor has no brain in general. Dude is just muscle for Odin, and that is the most disappointing fucking thing in the world. The only cool moment the guy ever had was his first fight in the game, which was amazing, and it made me think that this guy was gonna be on the same level as Baldur, which he 100% was not. And finally, we got Odin, who I personally think is a great villain. He's not just a copy of Zeus. This king of the 9 realms is instead a villain in the sneaky sense. I'm talking the rat bitch sort of way, where he manipulates and deceives to get his way. He picks you apart and finds out your skills, your weaknesses, and he exploits them. And his design definitely helps with that personality, because look at him. Dude is a skinny old white guy. It looks like he means no harm, or more so that he can't cause any harm. But believe me, this guy is evil inside and selfish to the core. Even when it comes to family, the dude does not care. He even killed Thor at the end of the game. One hit KO that motherfucker right in the chest. And we can't forget the tier plot twist, which I 100% did not see coming. And the perfect part about it is that if you replay the game, you can see the signs that he was tiered, with the way he speaks to Atreus, him not fighting anything throughout the whole game, him always sleeping in the goddamn closet, him calling Freya Frigg. It's kind of genius when you think about it. I enjoyed the plot twist. So that's the stuff I really liked about the story. Now I got the bad. The game's plot has to be the most unfocused shit I have ever seen in my life. The way it's structured is so all over the place that it feels random at times. There is so much bloat to the story that it makes the pacing incredibly slow. A little painfully slow, actually. And it feels like nothing is going on for a good majority of it. Like when they were searching for Tyr in the beginning of the game, or when Kratos was trying to find the Norns, or literally any Atreus section. All of it feels slow and tedious, with maybe one important little bitty plot line. But nothing feels natural in this game. There is such a ridiculous amount of expository dialogue. Listen, I am not a big fan of shoving exposition down your goddamn throat, and that is like a good chunk of this game's story. This game definitely does not follow the show don't tell method. It feels like everything is happening and yet nothing is happening at the same exact time. The other thing I hate is the fact that there are so many worthless characters in the story that add nothing, and I mean nothing, to the plot. For example, all of the members of Freyr's team. What the f*** are these people even doing here? I don't even know their names, dog. This game is stupid. And Hildisfini. This dude does absolutely nothing noteworthy. I kind of forgot he was in the game until he showed up in Ragnarok, if I'm being honest. And even, what is his name? Birger? I don't know. But that dude with the big sword, y'all know what I'm talking about. He sacrifices himself in the story. Cool moment. Don't really care too much. But then it turns out he's alive. And a side quest. Yes. He was so unimportant that the only way to know if he was alive or dead was through a side quest. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the ending, but I was also just a little disappointed because Ragnarok is the fucking name of this game, and it was just a 30-minute walk through Asgard. And then there's just some stupid shit that happens in the story, okay? Atreus is trying to help Odin fix the mask the entire game, only for him to destroy it in the end. Why would you even help him make it at that point? Why? What was the point? What was the point of everything? I was sort of like Odin in this situation. His speech was how I was feeling.
No! 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 Why did you do that? What was it all for?
Look, all I'm saying is you were literally the only person who could have helped him make it. If you didn't help him, then most of the game's problems wouldn't have happened either. And I get the game's lesson about showing mercy and everything, but to Odin? You're gonna show mercy to Odin, the sneakiest snake of all the 9 realms, and you're gonna show mercy to him. I am so glad that Sindri actually had the balls to do it, because I would have been pissed if this dude was in a ball for eternity. This fucking story is so stupid sometimes, bro. It's not as bad as Steven Universe, but you're really getting there, I'm telling you. The story is not bad, let me stress it. There is a lot of good, but the pacing of the story being either really slow or insanely fast, and the fact that there are so many inconsistencies with the plot just makes this game feel like, well, a mess. Now, I would rather have this mess than the terribleness and boringness of 2018. But this story is far from perfect. It may be fun, but it's one of those stories that you gotta turn off your brain to get past the stupid shit that happens. In that regard, it reminds me a lot of an MCU movie. I enjoy the story, but it is also extremely flawed. The visuals for this game are top tier amazing. The fact that it surpasses God of War 2018 is insane to me. I just love the way that the game looked, that the environments look. The models are so much more detailed now. The HUD looks clean and new. It is without a doubt a highlight of the entire game. I never realized how much a lot of locations looked very similar in 2018 until I played this game. Ragnarok has a bunch of locations. They have a bunch of literal realms, all completely different from each other in environments, lighting, atmosphere, tone. And even locations that we explored back in 2018 look almost completely different here. Adding so much to the point where I didn't even recognize it as the same thing. Like the Lake of Nine from 2018. Now it's a frozen landscape where you have to ride sleds. And that just looks way cooler than anything you could do with a tiny ass boat. Or how about Niflheim? Now it's all snowy and shit. There's a tree full of bird souls. And a literal underground prison that you can explore. It is also completely different from the foggy and honestly disgusting version we saw of Niflheim back in 2018. And you all remember Alfheim, right? That beautiful place with this amazing shot? Well, now there is a desert section. I'm talking an entire world of straight up desert. And under the desert is a dungeon that has jellyfish monsters. And you free them into the night sky. This is fantastic. And you remember the Yggdrasil tree thing that looked like Attack on Titan? Well, now Sindri's house is a place that you can visit, and it's just a marvel to look at. Oh my god. We have Svartalfheim, the realm of the dwarves, and this looks like something out of Snow White. We got mines everywhere, lizard enemies, small houses, and holy shit, does it look beautiful and sunny. Everything just looks so much more appealing in this game. The color palettes just pop out, and it's so much eye candy. As for cinematography, this game also does an excellent job just like the last, but once again to a much better degree. The boss fights are spectacles to behold thanks to the works of the camera. It all flows so well and the camera work is splendid. This is a high budget CGI movie pretending to be a game. It is beautiful. It's like every fight in this game is trying to outdo the Baldur fight, what with the camera work and everything. That's pretty much all I gotta say about the visuals. They're fucking awesome. Now we got the soundtrack, and it is actually really good, I'm not even gonna lie. I know, I didn't think that would happen either. Dude, the soundtrack in this game has so many bangers, it's insane. And not just for battle, but also for emotional moments in the story. Actually, especially for that. Most of the amazing moments in this game were as memorable as they were because of the soundtrack in the background. And I cannot get over the main theme of this game. It is so fantastic. It might actually be top 5 God of War tracks. You gotta hear this. You gotta hear it to really believe what I'm saying. The soundtrack is really goddamn good, and the voice acting is fantastic in this game. It is really good. Everyone does an amazing job, and returning characters from 2018 have improved far and beyond what I thought they could do. I really enjoyed Freya's actress in this game. Yeah, she has some cringy lines sometimes, but overall, like, whoo, she gets such a f***ing great performance. Kratos and Atreus are miles better, and I already thought that they were amazing in the last game. Even Mimir puts more heart and soul into his performances.
Something bad did happen. Look at me, at Freya, at Tyr. Odin did this to us.
And the villains sound great. I even like Odin's voice. I think it's kind of perfect actually for his personality.
Thor, get down here.
All, Father.
Don't do that.
The only thing I didn't like was this terrible scream that he did. It sounded like the fakest shit ever.
You choose to be nothing!
And we can't forget my boy Heimdall. This guy aced his role and became one of my favorites almost instantly.
And what are you going to do exactly? I know you're young. Your voice probably dropped while you were climbing the wall, but what a twisted little soul you have. You are chaos in a spiffy archer suit. I watch your mouth move and I see cities burning.
This game's presentation is fantastic. Okay guys, I think this is the part where I think everybody is gonna hate me. The gameplay for Ragnarok is both better, yet also worse than 2018. I wish that this was a complete improvement over 2018, but instead, there is so much confliction here. So much good, yet so much shit that it evens out so perfectly. Let me explain what I'm talking about, starting with the good. Number one, some skills that you had to acquire in the last game, you still have in the beginning of Ragnarok, like the sprint attack, thank God. Same thing with the blade skills from the last game. Now they're just normal in Ragnarok, which made me excited to see the new skills in the skill tree. Number two, enemy variety is actually pretty decent in this game. We got a bunch of different enemies now, instead of just Draugrs and Hellwalkers. We got lizard guys, we got Einherjar warriors, we got light elves now that are really fun to fight. We got beasts, Einherjar warriors on beasts. It's cool. After playing 2018, I really appreciated the fact that this game had a nice variety of baddies. Not bad at all. Number three, the spear. The spear is a fun-ass weapon that I love adding skills to because it becomes crazy when you do. Like, there are skills where you get more spears that you can explode. There's a skill where it doubles the explosion of your spears, which annihilates anything in your path. There is a move where if you hold R1 and then throw it, it spins on the enemy for a little bit and it stays on them, so you can still explode it. Not to mention that, in my opinion, the spear has the best and most fun runic attacks in the whole game. Like this penetrating move that sticks spears on the enemy, which is great for boss fights. And oh my god, I love the runic attack where you throw the spear into the air and a whole army of spears comes raining down on the enemy, which also sticks on them. This weapon is crazy. It is crazy, and it's a great addition to the game. Number four, boss fights. Holy god, the boss fights are fantastic in this game. There is barely any repeat bosses. All of them are unique in their own way. Some even require a little thinking to beat them, like Heimdall, which I found really fun. And the optional boss fights of the game, like the Berserkers, are way too fun. In some fights, they bring two of these guys to beat your ass, and it was crazy. For example, Bodvar and Stardifer. This fight gave me so many deaths, but I didn't care. It was so much fun to figure out their patterns. And King Hrolf at the end was insane. Not as insane as Sigrun, mind you. She still takes the cake for insanely tough as shit boss. But King Hrolf was really fun. However, I cannot say the same thing for Na, who I absolutely hated fighting. Once I saw there was a goddamn Valkyrie boss and it was endgame, I was excited for another Sigrun level boss fight. Instead, it has got to be the worst boss I have fought in these new God of War games. Na's pattern is shit. The runic attacks barely even fucking work. She is the most irritating boss in the world. Nah. I felt nothing when I beat her. That's how you know I hated it. But overall, the bosses were great. Number 5, the Atreus sections. Hear me out, okay? Because I already know all of you are probably screaming at me right now. But personally, I enjoyed the Atreus sections because I think it was a nice change of pace from playing as Kratos. And I actually like some of its mechanics, like the fact that the game pretty much turns into a third-person shooter. And the fun one at that, with 2 different special arrows, the Sonic and Sigil arrows. The Sonic arrows are great because they pack a huge punch for enemies and it stuns the shit out of them. Sigil arrows, they suck. I don't even like them for normal Kratos combat because it seems to barely even do anything to the enemies. But besides that, Atreus combat is actually pretty fun. I even like his skills in the skill tree. I find them pretty useful. Like this combo that f***s the shit out of the Draugrs. And finally, the best thing about the game. Number 6, the main story missions are actually pretty fun most of the time. This is the best compliment that I can give to the game after the absolute hate that I had for 2018 for having boring ass story missions that had nothing to them besides hidden loading screens and small corridors with almost no unique aspect about the worlds you're going through except for maybe Alfheim. It felt boring, and it wasn't until I finished the story missions and was able to fully explore the world and do the side quests that I truly was having fun with 2018. But in Ragnarok, the story missions were done decently well. I had a great time with most of the realms, especially for the first 10 hours or so. also. Svartalfheim was extremely fun to play. I love the enemies, I love the mines and the sewers that you had to go through. The level design didn't feel too linear or annoying. It was great, and it's even better when you get to fully explore it in the end. Alfheim is pretty goddamn great in this game. I love the puzzles here, and the light elves are really fun to fight. And like I said, some of the Atreus sections are great. Some do last for just a tiny bit too long, but I still like them nonetheless. Even for areas I didn't really like fucking Vanaheim. I hate that place. The story was the one doing the heavy lifting, and that's great. That's something that 2018 never did. That's pretty much all the good I can think of. Now we got the bad. And baby, do we have bad. Number one, I fucking hate runic attacks in this game. The axe and blades feel weak as shit in this game because the runic attacks do almost nothing, especially to boss fights, which is how I use runic attacks the majority of the time. There is also no runic attack in this game that is anywhere close to the level of the axe beam from 2018. As a matter of fact, that axe beam is non-existent in this game. It's to the point where I barely use runic attacks because it gets me killed more than actually helping me. They suck dick. Not all of them are bad, okay? I love the runic attacks for the spear, and even Atreus' runic attacks are cool to use, but compared to 2018, they're dick. They're ass. Number two, Ironwood. Now, I don't think that Ironwood is as bad as people say it is. I do think people complain about it just a little too much. But Ironwood is still not the best. It really is just unskippable cutscenes for 2 hours. And it was boring. Even the story couldn't help me because just, look at this. This is supposed to be a video game, people. I'm cool with a break, but this is unprecedented in a video game. You don't stop the action for 2 whole hours. This may not seem like a lot, but it feels longer than it sounds. Also, the boss fight with the grandma is probably the second worst one in the game. Nah, it's still worse. I hate that bitch, but this one almost took the cake. Number 3, the side quests are worse than 2018. I was extremely, and I'm telling you guys, extremely disappointed to see that the side quests in this game are worse than 2018. How on earth do you do that? 2018 had wonderful side quests, absolutely incredible and unique missions that blew my mind. But Ragnarok's missions are just decent. They're not bad, but sometimes I just felt like not doing them at all. Something that never happened to me with 2018. Also, there are way too many side quests as well. Like a ridiculous amount that overwhelms you. The only side quest I can say that I really enjoyed has to be Alfheim. Everything in Alfheim is fantastic, and it gives me God of War 1 vibes with the desert, which was one of my favorite parts of the entire game. Alfheim was actually really awesome in this game. And the side quest of freeing fucking sky jellyfish from these dark underground caves, it was sick. This is a side quest that feels like it should have been in the main game. I loved it. But besides that, the side quests are okay, with Vanaheim having the worst ones, I'm telling you. The ones I really cannot stand. As a matter of fact, number 4, exploring the realms. Guys, I did not care to explore what these realms had in store for me. It felt bloated for the sake of bloat. It was boring. It had nothing that really compelled me to keep going, especially with one realm in particular, and that is Vanaheim. Vanaheim is ugly to look at. It has the worst level design in the whole game, mostly because it's really compact and everything looks the fucking same. The side quests are also the worst ones in the game. Don't even get me started on the new area for Endgame. The one with the frozen lightning bolt thing. This was terrible to explore. And it had these shitty ghost side quests that sucked. They sucked. Every single one of them was, I can't remember what happened, but if you find this very specific thing for me that's well hidden in a very specific location, in a very specific part of the realm, and the only way you can find it is with my very vague clue that sometimes makes absolutely no sense when you somehow find it by accident, but it doesn't matter. Please find it for me, I beg of you. That is literally every single ghost side quest. The realms just felt lacking in this game. Number 5. The combat is worse than 2018. Ragnarok feels like it got 2018, right? And you stripped it of everything that made it fun to play. The attacks feel like they do nothing on the enemies. The enemies feel like they have way too much health, even in normal difficulty. The runic attacks are worthless because I guess the devs felt like they had to balance them, and because of that, it hurt the gameplay experience way too much for me personally. Ragnarok feels worse, if that makes sense. It doesn't have the same kick with the combat that I feel 2018 had. Sure, the game is way smoother now, the executions are really bloody, and the runic attacks are still flashy as fuck, but that means nothing when in combat. I feel nothing. I feel empty. This really hit me hard when I started doing the end game and the side quest. because I realized just how flawed the gameplay was, and it made me appreciate 2018's combat a hell of a lot more. I also don't really like the skill tree, guys. The skills in this game are worthless to me, and that's mainly because they tried to focus on effects a lot more in this game. I'm talking about the frost effect on the axe and the burning effect on the blades, which have a whole fucking skill section for both of them. I hate these because they break the pace and the flow of the combat. You have to stop every single time you want to use these effects. It's fucking stupid. And not only that, they took away the skill tree for shield combat. Why? I didn't even have much skills for shield combat in 2018, but this is just taking out good shit for no fucking reason. It only hurts the game. I guess what I gotta say is, guys, Ragnarok's combat feels unrewarding. It doesn't feel fun to kill things, which is what the God of War games are supposed to do. Listen, 2018 may have had a terrible story, but at least it was great where it counted. That combat was amazing and it was full of depth. It had amazing skills, awesome and helpful runic attacks, and a Metroidvania feel to the game once you beat the main story. Yes, it's a shame that you had to beat the main story to get any enjoyment out of the game, but I loved it. I loved the side quests and the uniqueness of the world. I loved exploring the little islands and getting more runic attacks or armor to help me fight some Valkyries. Ragnarok was making me miss 2018. Do you understand how crazy that is to me? Ragnarok's gameplay overall is just a mixed bag of emotions, and if I'm honest, it's just average. So, what's my verdict on Ragnarok? Well, it's average. I wouldn't exactly call the game painfully average. I think the story is really fun despite its plot holes, and presentation-wise, this game excels in all directions. It's the gameplay that made me make this choice, because while the main missions were fun and unique for the most part, the combat was still unrewarding and it felt worse in almost every way compared to 2018. It didn't feel like an improvement, it felt more like change for the sake of change. They tried to balance the game so much that they ended up taking out what made it special. As much shit as I give 2018 sometimes, I still thought the gameplay was the best part of the game and I could gush about it for hours. But for Ragnarok, I honestly don't see myself coming back to this one. I do hope that one day I will see this game in a different light, but for now, this game, in my honest opinion, deserves the 3 out of 5. It's an average video game, equal amount of bad and good, but insanely disappointing for me personally.